everyone, it's me, Dr. Whimsy, and today we're talking about breaking the bank. What do you do when you go over budget, when you have a beautiful budget, but unfortunately things happen and you find out that, oh well, I didn't make it this month. I decided to title this video, when is it ever good to break your bank, or something like that. I'll figure it out. And today we're going to talk a little bit about the idea of having a budget. We hopefully here at Broke Aristocrats have encouraged everybody to get a rough idea of where your money is going. If you can look at your budget on a regular basis, I think that's going to help you be more consistent with budgeting. But in addition to that, to do what are called account and reckonings. An account and a reckoning is something that I do about once a week. I don't have time to do it more than that. Maybe I should. And that is where I basically look at my bills and I give an account for them. I pay them, but I also assess how I'm doing throughout the week or throughout the month. Now, I am merely human, and sometimes I go over. There have been some videos that I've seen and some great suggestions from people that are doing the Dave Ramsey program, where literally they're so disciplined they can account for every single nickel. And I think that that's great, congratulations. But for mere mortals like myself, we are not quite as disciplined. We make mistakes, and it's gonna happen, I think, more often when you start learning how to budget than it is when you've been doing it for a while. But if there's, my cat just jumped up. Hello, Mila. She has to say hi every time the camera goes on. All right, so enough of that. So the point I'm trying to make, I'm gonna grab my budget so that, well, I won't show it to you, but it'll at least help me see my own indiscretions. I use an Excel spreadsheet for mine, but the reason why I say that it's not a bad thing to break the bank, particularly in the beginning, is because you're learning. And so the function of breaking the bank is not to beat yourself up and not to shame you. It's not to yell at your partner. That is counterproductive. I know that Dave Ramsey likes to, call people out, and that's his style, God bless him. I find for myself it's counterproductive. Shame, blame games don't work. What I would encourage people to do instead is to put your emotions aside. Just put your emotions aside. The function, when you do break the bank, when you do go over, the function is to find out why you went over and to learn things about yourself. There are some things that are going to be stagnant. For example, you're probably not going to be surprised that the rent is due on the first of the month. Your four walls usually stay pretty stagnant. Rent, groceries, transportation, the utilities. These things are your four walls, and it's really the first thing we encourage people to focus on when they are living on a budget. Some things that have fluidity are things like if something breaks down unexpectedly and you don't have adequate amounts of savings in your sinking fund, that can happen. Other things that can happen are expenses come up that you just didn't budget for. The reason why I think it's not a bad thing to go over budget occasionally is because you learn where your money is going. You learn, particularly the first couple months when you're learning how to budget, you start to learn all kinds of things about yourself. The opportunity when you do, especially in the beginning, break the bank, or you are weak in one particular area, I don't even want to call it weak, but if you didn't adequately put enough money in that particular category, the purpose is education. That's it. The purpose is to try and find out where your money is going. Where do you like to spend money? And if it is an area that you want to tighten a little bit, that's okay. But if you're going overboard, then that needs to be something to evaluate. If it's groceries, Maybe the mistake is that you didn't know the actual cost of groceries, and so you picked a random number, $50 a week for a family of 4, we'll say, and then because you're not the one who's doing the majority of the grocery shopping, you came to realize, wow, that's going to be a challenge. Again, the purpose of looking at our budget and seeing how we broke the bank is not to beat ourselves up. It's not to shame us. It's not to blame us, which is associated with, you guessed it, being depressed and then spending money. So that is why shame is not going to be constructive in these situations. What is constructive in these situations is to step back and without emotion do an account and a reckoning and say, why did I go overboard? What was I trying to accomplish? How did I not meet my goals? An area where I always have a challenge is groceries, and that is because I like good food. I like good food. I can't say no to good food. I have a weakness for chocolate. I have a weakness for this vegan ice cream that's about $5 for a little tiny, $5-6 for a little tiny. So I recognize my weaknesses. I've learned something about myself, and then I have to decide from a place of empowerment and knowledge about myself, well, how do I proceed from here? So that is all I wanted to talk about today. Do not beat yourself up when you break the bank. Do not play the shame blame game. Instead, sit back and objectively do your homework and try and figure out why it happened. Number one, did you underestimate how much the cost would be? Number two, is it something that is quote unquote a weakness that you maybe need to be a little bit more disciplined about? Or number three, is it something where you need to actually put more money in that particular category in order to meet the needs of you and your family? All right, so that is the purpose of breaking the bank. That is when it can be good. It is good when it gives us education and knowledge about ourselves and allows us to modify our budgets so that we can do better next time. All right, I did it, and I hopefully did it in under 10 minutes. I want to thank you for watching this video of Broke Aristocrats. I'm excited about the coming month, December, because we're going to be doing frugal holiday ideas, and I love the holidays. They're so cozy. It reminds me of my frugal childhood when we used to do all kinds of fun, creative things on a budget, and I associate actually frugality with the holidays, and I always thought that Charles Dickens' holidays, Charles Dickens' version of the holidays were the most romantic, and they were the most simple, the most frugal, and I always thought the most romantic way to spend the holidays. Just give me a fireplace and some homemade food, and I'm good to go. All right, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.